So welcome, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us today. It's great to see so many people in the audience joining us. I'm Jessica Ellis, and I'm Head of Programme Development in the 5G Testbeds and Trials Programme in DCMS. So I'll just run through a bit of housekeeping before we kick off for today. So do note that the session is recorded, so if you do happen to drop out for any reason or need to leave, we will share the recording afterwards. Throughout the webinar, your camera will be switched off and your microphone will be set to mute. And obviously this is to avoid distractions for our speakers. There's going to be an opportunity at the end for you to ask questions to the speakers. So do submit your questions throughout their presentations and the panel session later on using the Q&A box, which you'll see in the menu at the bottom of your bar. Make sure to upvote the questions that you'd like to see answered in the Q&A. And to upvote, you just need to click the thumbs up button. So today's webinar, we are here to talk about the SmartRAN Open Network Interoperability Centre, better known as SONIC. DCMS are funding the SONIC real-world test facility to look at interoperability and integration with an aim to accelerate Open RAN adoption. SONIC's focus will be on Open RAN's role in secure and resilient networks with a view to fostering opportunities in the UK and the aims of developing a diverse telecom supply chain. Digital Catapult and Ofcom are working together to make the shift to Open RAN real, as well as the ability to create opportunities throughout it for businesses of all sizes. And SONIC demonstrates the UK's commitment to creating a more open 5G ecosystem, utilising Open RAN technology to tilt towards softwareization and encourage new vendors to invest in the UK. Digital Catapult is in the unique position as a neutral partner who's able to bring together smaller Open RAN product developers, larger businesses that can help scale, uptake, and the vendor community to collaborate in innovation in facilities like SONIC. So our objective today really is to promote awareness of SONIC, to grow positive engagement with our key audiences, as we look to shape the potential of a broader SONIC programme in the future. And the view from our speakers today and the questions from you in the audience are going to be key in broadening our understanding and engagement with our interested parties on the future of Open RAN in the UK market. So firstly, I'd like to introduce Joe Butler, CTO of Digital Catapult.
Hi, everybody. I'll just share my screen. Hopefully you can see that. Right, it's great to see everyone. Nice to see so many of you today, and thank you, Jessica, for the introduction and for chairing today. So I just wanted to start out by talking about a couple of things that you told us, actually. We've had just over 250 or so people register for the event today, which is great. I think in itself says something about the interest in this space here in the UK and SONIC. And we asked you a few simple questions in the registration process around Open RAN timing and the opportunity, and a very large number of you answered, so thank you very much. And you're an interesting audience. We've got representation from government, obviously, but from vendors, system integrators, wireless infrastructure players and neutral hosts and operators, academia and consultants. So between you, I think your views are probably as good as anyone's, likely to be insightful. So we asked you, how long do you think it will take for Open RAN to mature for wide-scale deployment in the UK? And as you can see, around 75% of the audience seem to think this will be within a 5-year period, with a reasonable chunk, maybe a quarter, thinking somewhere inside 3 years or so. And gratifyingly, a very small chunk saying never. And then one more question. We asked, where do you think Open RAN will have most impact or relevance? And again, I think your responses are really interesting here also, showing most obviously the breadth in the expected cases around Open RAN. It's not simply a story, of course, around national mobile networks, but with expectations in private networks and neutral host models, shared access networks and small cell in-building coverage. And, I'm really struck by the sort of uniformity of the distribution here. So I don't think we can, attribute anything too scientific to a couple of simple survey questions in a registration process. But I think it's interesting nonetheless. And if we follow the perspective on timing of somewhere inside the next 3 to 5 years or so, the issues and questions that need considering around deployment of Open RAN type solutions are upon us now. You know, will the promise be realized? Where do the challenges lie in disaggregated, highly software open networks? What are the performance trade-offs? And if we expect uptake in businesses, enterprises, supply chains, and smart factories, the need for the UK to focus on national networks, but also private networks and alternative network deployments is pretty clear. And this is what we're here to talk about today, with our setup of the Sonic facility to make rapid progress in this space, and our partnership with Ofcom in this initiative. We spoke for the first time publicly about Sonic and our plans in December last year at DCMS's and the KTN's 5G supply chain diversification event. And we talked then about the considerable shift in pace that is being generated as a result of virtualization of networks, adoption of general purpose cloud compute infrastructures. And it presents a significant opportunity, both in the context of the vendor diversification landscape, but also in terms of the adoption and deployment landscape in UK businesses and industry. And I think the trend seem, if anything, to be accelerating. There's operator and cloud deals happening all the time. Just to mention a few, in February, we've seen Deutsche Telekom's T-Systems division do a cloud-first deal with Azure. We've seen ONF launching their first version of open source SD-RAN software. Sigfox migrating their IoT infrastructure to Google Cloud. Telefonica working with Mavenir and AWS to offer managed IoT connectivity for industrial, automotive, and manufacturing type applications. And operators joining with Facebook and Open Infrastructure Foundation to progress open source cloud-based mobile core software. And on top of that, obviously, all the announcements around Open RAN itself. So clearly there's a direction of travel here around software-centric networking, with Open RAN and edge and hybrid cloud all likely to be part of this. Questions remain, though, about openness versus closed, standardized versus proprietary type solutions, what role UK-based organizations and innovators are going to have in this, and the skills and capabilities required to succeed. And this led us to talk in December about the need for speed, for near-term insight, understanding capabilities and challenges, and facilitation in the UK ecosystem. And so we outlined our plans there for a launch of Sonic in May this year. And I'm really happy to say that you'll hear today that these plans are now really well underway. We're currently working with a number of vendors and integrators to build the core infrastructure, demonstrate a number of Open RAN swappable chains. We're building upon our existing 5G infrastructure at the Catapult, well underway constructing an Open RAN 5G network with nodes in our digital Catapult offices in London, Ofcom's Riverside House offices, and in 2 separate sites in Brighton, one being a concert venue. So with that, I'll hand on to Simon Saunders, Director of Emerging Technology at Ofcom, to introduce the Sonic proposition and our partnership. Over to you.
Thanks very much, Joe. Thank you, Joe, and good morning, everybody. It's great to see so many of you here and with an interest in this program. And I hope through this, we're going to encourage you to actually get in touch with us and express how you'd like to get involved yourselves in this program. It's very much something for wider participation that we'd like to encourage. So as Joe said, I'm Simon Saunders and I'm Director of Emerging and Online Technology at Ofcom. I look after Ofcom's work on network vendor diversification, including as an advisor to the Vendor Diversification Task Force. I also look after our work on long-term technology evolution, such as the really advanced technologies that we set out in our Technology Futures report in January, which could have a profound effect on UK networks And both of those roles are very relevant to Sonic. So I wanted to set out our overall role and thinking in network vendor diversification and explain why, as a result of that, we are working with Digital Catapult as partners and indeed co-funding the Sonic program alongside our DCMS colleagues. So Ofcom is, of course, the independent regulator for communication services in the UK, and we do that to make sure there are good outcomes for the people and businesses of the UK. Our means for improving the outcomes for those people and businesses is primarily through regulating the operators of those services. But we're very conscious that those operators in turn depend on a really healthy supply chain, on the vendors of equipment and software and services that support them. So it's also important to us to see healthy supply side markets as well as the provision of the services. And those healthy markets on the supply side are important from my point of view in four particular dimensions. One is networks need to be secure. They need to be trusted by the people that use them. Secondly, they need to be resilient. We need to keep the lights on in terms of those networks providing that really essential service that we all depend upon so much, particularly in the current times. And then innovation. Networks don't stand still. There are important architectural shifts, such as the softwareization, cloudification Joe mentioned, densification, edge computing, obviously the advent of 5G and so on. And an innovation doesn't always come from one place. It comes from a diverse range of different sources. And then lastly, clearly network deployers, be they operators or private networks or neutral hosts, need to be able to make good commercial choices so that their investment goes further and delivers more for the people and businesses that I talked about. All of those things, I think, are facilitated by open interoperable networks. That gives vendors an easier way of coming into operator networks, and it gives operators more choice of best of breed vendors in every element of those networks. So we need to understand industry progress towards that goal of open interoperability. And we're not only sort of passive observers in this. We have a formal duty to have regard to innovation in the way that we make regulations. And as well as understanding innovation, we also need to act to encourage and enable and facilitate that innovation so the benefits come as swiftly as possible. And Sonic fits in perfectly to that landscape. Jess did a great job of spelling out the acronym for Sonic, but what Sonic means for me is really two things. Sonic as in it's fast. We see a need for speed here, as Joe mentioned, but also we're going to make a lot of noise about it, and this is one of those events. And we're doing that because we actually want to show vendors and operators that there is an opportunity here in the UK to really accelerate this technology. Three particular things I'm hoping to see from Sonic, and we're working together with Digital Catapult to design it in that way, are as follows. So one is directly evaluating Open RAN, not just one particular set of standards, but the whole landscape of open interoperable networks. Are the standards sufficient to deliver true open interoperability? Are vendors supporting those standards and interpreting them in a consistent way? And can they deliver outcomes from that give high performance in realistic use cases? And we do want Sonic, therefore, to represent increasingly over time the whole range of use cases. We may be starting somewhat small, but we want a roadmap to scale up to large scale deployments, including collaborating with other initiatives such as the UK Telecoms Lab and other large scale trials. Secondly, we want to enable and encourage new vendors to participate in the UK ecosystem. It is a tough road for a startup with a great new technology in mobile to get that technology embedded at scale in operator networks. And we'd like Sonic to play a role in helping to smooth that path so that innovation can come to UK networks that much faster. And thirdly, it's a testing ground for some of the longer term advanced technologies that I mentioned before. Open RAN is really only a a step along the way in some senses that enables other technologies to come into those networks more quickly. So we're also looking for kind of elements of technology as well as entire end-to-end systems to integrate into Sonic. So with that, Sonic, we needed to build Sonic and we needed expertise to do that, and we don't have all of that expertise inside Ofcom. So Digital Catapult was really the very natural partner for us in doing that. We're therefore sort of very, very grateful for Digital Catapult in partnering with us on this. We're grateful to DCMS for helping us to fund this initiative. And we're really looking forward to launching the initiative and to getting more people involved in it. Thank you very much. Back to Jess, I think.
Thank you, Simon and Joe, for giving us that context.